This is a story of a battalion of brave women, courageous women, who did a very significant role to help the American soldiers during the Second World War, soldiers who were posted in Europe. Now, those days, communication with your family was only possible with letters. No mobile phones, no emails, no satellite phones. So soldiers were stuck for months in war-torn Europe, where they all knew they may never return home alive. And when a letter came from back home, that is to really motivate them and just feel more enthusiastic about life, because they were facing death every day. The 68th 88th Central Postal Directory Battalion, also known as 6888, was an all-black battalion of the U.S. Women's Army Corps, WAC, that managed postal services. The 6888 had 855 women and was led by Major Charity Adams. It was the only predominantly black U.S. Women's Army Corps unit sent overseas during the Second World War. Most of the 6888 soldiers worked as postal clerks. Others were cooks and mechanics and held other supporting positions, so that the battalion was self-sufficient as a unit. During the Second World War, there was a significant shortage of soldiers who were able to manage the postal services for the U.S. Army overseas. In 1944, Mary McLeod Bethune worked to get support of the First Lady, Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt, for a role for black women in the war overseas. And these ladies did a very difficult task in war-torn Europe. They served in England and in France. They were given a mission which was almost impossible. But by sheer brain power, intelligence, detective work, determination, hard work, they endured difficult situations and completed that mission successfully. Their mission was to sort out, handle undelivered mail to about 7 million US soldiers scattered on duty across Europe. The battalion consists of all women aged 17 to 52, primarily African Black American and some Hispanic origin. During their basic training, they faced a lot of discrimination from the male commanding officers. They endured gender and racial barriers and discrimination, which was another internal battle they had to fight. But they went on to complete their mission under very, very difficult war conditions. In Birmingham, they were given a dilapidated school to use as their postal headquarters. The school had to be first fixed up and cleaned up before they could start work and sort out the mail. A daunting task. They were faced with 6 warehouses overflowing with millions of letters and parcels, which were neglected for about 2 to 3 years. In some of the parcels, the family at home in the US had sent their boys food items like chicken. So the place was rat infested. It was a tough job because many of the letters had been lying in storage for months, many partly even eaten by rats. Many of the letters just had first name or the nickname of the receiving soldier written on it. So to actually figure out the recipient and find out which part of Europe he was stationed in was a tough job. It required real brainy detective work for these ladies. But in 6 weeks' time, they got the building ready to work and live in. They encountered cold, unheated work conditions, poorly lit, frequent blackouts, and with dark painted windows. But they were young and strong and committed to their job, and with an extremely motivating leader. Working in shifts and around the clock, they developed a tracking system and found innovative ways to process 65,000 pieces of mail, that's letters and parcels, per shift. This included creating and maintaining a card index system which contains 7 million cards of servicemen, even though they face racial and sexist discrimination in the army. The people of Birmingham were friendly to them and even invited them for their Sunday meals and gatherings. Their legacy. From 2009 onwards, the members of the 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion received awards and recognition. Now think about this. How many years after the Second World War? which ended in 1945. This is a story of sheer grit and bravery and women trying to prove themselves, sheer courageous women, sheer determined women, and they have to be saluted. There's a movie out on Netflix about their story, directed by Tyler Perry. It stars Kerry Washington. The movie is brilliantly directed. All the sets, all the people involved in this film have really done wonderfully. All the actors have achieved perfection in their performance. The movie is very inspiring, motivating, and it really brings you to tears at the kind of courage they displayed. And what they had to face, the discrimination was an inner battle they had to fight and even survive through war-torn area of Europe where they didn't even know they'll get back home alive. My salute to the 688 Battalion. And a thank you to the makers of this film who've done a tremendous tribute to the 688 Battalion. And the courageous ladies who inspire many ladies and even gents today. Their story is truly something which touches my heart. Thank you.